Hi friends, wealth is not an accident. It doesn't fall from the sky. It is designed, it is built, and it is attracted by those who learn the rules. Now, the interesting thing is that most of these rules are never taught in school. They're not written in textbooks. And the rich, well, they don't always talk about them. But if you study closely, you'll discover that wealth leaves clues. Today, I want to share with you 7 rules of wealth the rich rarely tell you. Rule number 1, act rich in mind before you ever see it in your bank account. Wealth is first a mindset, then a reality. Poor thinking keeps people poor, even when money shows up. Rich thinking attracts wealth, even when resources are limited. You've got to see yourself worthy of wealth, capable of handling it, responsible enough to grow it. If you think like a beggar, money will run from you. If you think like a builder, money will look for you. The mind is the soil. Wealth is the harvest. Plant the right thoughts. Rule number 2, the rich value time more than money. Most people trade hours for dollars. The wealthy invest hours to create assets. That's the shift. You can always get more money, but you cannot get more time. The rich don't just ask, how much does it cost? They ask, how long will it take? And what will it produce over the years? Stop renting your life out for pennies. Learn to build something that works for you while you sleep. Rule number 3, multiply. Don't just earn. The average person works for one stream of income. The wealthy design multiple streams. That's not because they're greedy. It's because they're smart. One stream dries up and you're in trouble. But 2, 3, 4 streams and you've got stability, options, and growth. Money is like water. You don't want just one faucet. You want rivers, channels, and reservoirs. Rule number 4, the rich play the long game. They're not gamblers, they're investors. They know that wealth is not a sprint, it's a marathon. They don't chase every shiny thing. They build slow, steady, secure foundations. The poor ask, how fast? The rich ask, how long will it last? If you want to be wealthy, stop seeking immediate thrills and start laying bricks that will stand for decades. Rule number 5, protect the seed. Wealth starts small, maybe a single dollar, maybe a small business idea, maybe an investment account. Most people crush the seed before it grows. They spend it on entertainment, on fashion, on temporary pleasure. But the rich protect the seed until it becomes a tree, and then they live off the fruit. If you can't manage 100, you won't manage 1,000. If you waste 10, you'll waste 10,000. Guard the seed. Rule number 6, money is a tool, not a master. The rich don't worship money, they use it. That's the difference. Money is not evil, but the wrong attitude toward it is dangerous. The wealthy let money serve their vision, their values, their mission. Money can build schools, feed families, grow businesses, spread ideas. But if you become a servant of money, it will own you. Always remember, you are the master, money is the servant. Rule number 7, give and wealth multiplies. This may be the greatest secret of all. The wealthy understand circulation. What you give out comes back. Not always in dollars, sometimes in relationships, sometimes in opportunities, sometimes in peace of mind. Money that never moves rots. Money that flows grows. The poor cling tightly to every coin and watch it vanish. The rich let money flow through them, and more comes back. Give wisely and watch your wealth expand. So, wealth is not magic, it's not a mystery, and it's not luck. It's rules, discipline, design. Act rich in your mind, build with wisdom in your hands, and live with generosity in your heart. That's how you create a life that is not only rich in wealth, but rich in meaning. Here are 5 powerful keynotes from the speech title, Act Rich in Mind, Build Wealth. 7 rules of wealth the rich never tell you. Wealth begins in the mind long before it shows in the bank. The rich value time over money and focus on building assets. Wealth is multiplied through multiple streams, not a single paycheck. The rich play the long game, protecting their seeds until they grow. True wealth expands through giving and circulation, not hoarding. Wealth begins in the mind long before it shows in the bank. Everything starts with thought, and thought shapes action, action shapes habit, and habit shapes destiny. If you want to change your financial destiny, you must first change the way you think about money, success, and yourself. Most people try to improve their financial lives by working harder, getting more jobs, chasing another paycheck, or waiting for some miracle. But the truth is, if you're thinking about money does not change, nothing else will. Poverty is not only a lack of money, it is also a lack of vision. Riches are not just about abundance of cash, they are about abundance of ideas, possibilities, and discipline. The first step is to act rich in your mind, to begin to see yourself as someone capable of wealth, deserving of wealth, and responsible enough to use wealth wisely. When you act rich in your mind, you stop thinking small. You stop believing that you were born to struggle endlessly. Many people live as though they are trapped in a script written by someone else, where money is always scarce and wealth belongs to others. But when you shift your thinking, you begin to understand that money is not limited. Opportunity is not limited. What is limited is the belief you hold about what you can create. If you think like a beggar, life will hand you scraps. If you think like a builder, life will hand you bricks. Those bricks may be small at first, but with the right mindset, you begin stacking them, one on top of the other, until one day you are standing inside the house you imagined long ago. The rich act wealthy in their minds even before they touch a single dollar. They carry themselves with confidence. They walk into rooms expecting to create value. They make decisions with a long-term perspective. They don't say, "I can't afford it." They ask, "How can I afford it?" That small shift opens creativity instead of closing it. Poor thinking shuts the door. Rich thinking looks for the window. Poor thinking says, "That's impossible." Rich thinking asks, "What would make it possible?" These are subtle shifts, but subtle shifts in the mind create massive shifts in reality. When you act rich in mind, you stop treating money as something distant and mysterious, and you begin to treat it as a tool. People who think poor often see money as either a source of fear or a source of temptation. They say things like, "I'll never be rich," or "Rich people are greedy," or "Money doesn't matter." But if money truly didn't matter, why do they work so many hours to get it? And why do they stress endlessly about not having it? The mind is full of contradictions until it is trained. Wealthy thinking clears the confusion. It says, money is a servant, and I am the master. I use it to build, to create, to grow. With that mindset, you attract more of it because you have already decided in your mind that you are worthy of handling it. There's also a posture that comes with acting rich in mind. When you walk into opportunities with self-doubt, people feel it. When you walk in with belief and posture, people respect it. Wealthy thinking shapes the way you speak, the way you present yourself, the way you carry your energy. Have you ever noticed that the same idea from two different people gets two different responses? One person is brushed aside, the other is listened to. The difference is not always the idea, but the confidence behind it. Wealthy thinking breeds confidence, and confidence attracts resources, allies, and opportunities. People want to work with those who act like they belong in the room, not those who constantly shrink and apologize for their presence. Acting rich in mind also means you practice abundance. You understand that there is always more to learn, more to create, more to give. Scarcity says, "If they win, I lose." Abundance says, "If they win, I can win too." Scarcity hoards knowledge, abundance shares it. Scarcity clings to pennies, abundance invests dollars. Scarcity fears the future, abundance plans for it. When you live with a scarcity mindset, you unconsciously repel money because you treat it as though it's rare and impossible to hold on to. But when you live with abundance, you attract it because money flows to where it can grow. The rich never look at money as the end, only as the beginning of what can be built. It's important to understand that acting rich in mind doesn't mean pretending or faking wealth. It's not about flashy cars you can't afford or clothes that drain your wallet. That's insecurity disguised as success. Acting rich in mind is about the way you think, not the way you spend. It's about making wise choices with what you already have. The person with $10 who invests one wisely is already acting richer in mind than the person with 10,000 who spends it all recklessly. True wealth begins with stewardship, taking what you have, however small, and using it as if it were seed for something greater. Every dollar is a seed. Every skill is a seed. Every idea is a seed. The poor mind eats the seed. The rich mind plants it. There will always be obstacles when you begin this shift. Your old patterns of thought will fight back. Your environment may tell you that you're dreaming too big. Friends may laugh when you start reading books about investing, or when you spend less on parties and more on building a small business. But this is where wealthy thinking matters most. You hold the vision in your mind long before anyone else sees it. You carry the dream until it becomes reality. And when the fruit finally shows, those same people will say you were lucky. But you will know it was not luck. It was mindset, discipline, and action born from a rich way of thinking. Wealthy thinking also forces you to raise your standards. If your mind tells you that you are worthy of wealth, you stop accepting things that drag you backward. You stop wasting hours on meaningless distractions. You stop surrounding yourself with people who drain your energy. You begin to value learning, growth, and discipline. You begin to act as though your future is worth protecting. That mental shift alone separates those who build wealth from those who never escape poverty. It's not how much money you make, it's how much you believe you are capable of creating, and then how much discipline you apply to that belief. When you think rich, you train your mind to see opportunities where others only see problems. A poor thinker sees the price of education and says, "Too expensive." A rich thinker sees the same price and says, "That's an investment." A poor thinker sees a failing market and says, "It's dangerous." A rich thinker sees the same market and says, "That's a chance to buy low." Both people are looking at the same situation, but one mind sees limitation while the other sees possibility. Wealth begins with this perception, and perception begins with thought. If you train your thoughts to see value, to see growth, to see potential, you will begin to attract the same things into your life. Wealth begins in the mind long before it shows in the bank, because your bank account is a reflection of your decisions, and your decisions are a reflection of your mindset. If you expand your thinking, you expand your decisions. If you expand your decisions, you expand your results. Your life today is a mirror of the thoughts you planted yesterday. Your future life will be a mirror of the thoughts you are planting now. So if you want wealth tomorrow, you must act rich in your mind today. The rich value time more than money because they understand the true currency of life is not dollars, it is hours. Money can be lost and made again, but once time is spent, it is gone forever. This simple truth is one of the most powerful distinctions between those who struggle financially and those who rise to wealth. Many people are busy trying to save pennies, clipping coupons, running after discounts, or chasing overtime shifts. And while they are doing that, the wealthy are asking a deeper question. How can I use my time to create something that lasts beyond the hours I put in? They recognize that money is infinite, opportunities are endless, but the clock is not. That shift in perspective changes every choice they make. When you value money above time, you trade your hours for small wages and call it a living. You show up, you put in the hours, you get the paycheck, and then you repeat the cycle. But when you value time above money, you look at every activity and ask whether it is producing long-term value. Instead of asking how much it pays right now, you ask what it will lead to later. The poor mind asks, how much will I earn for this hour? The rich mind asks, what system, what asset, what skill can I build during this hour that will pay me for years? That is why the wealthy are builders instead of mere workers. They don't think only in terms of days and weeks. They think in terms of decades. Think about the way many people spend their time. Hours upon hours are lost in idle distractions, television, gossip, social media scrolling, activities that bring no return except temporary escape. That is the costliest spending of all because the one thing you cannot refund is time. The rich guard their time like treasure. They design their days, they schedule their priorities, they eliminate unnecessary noise. They understand that every wasted hour is not just time lost, but opportunity lost, momentum lost, and wealth delayed. They are not obsessed with being busy, they are obsessed with being productive. There is a great difference. Business is filling time with activity. Productivity is filling time with value. Another reason the wealthy value time above money is because they have learned the principle of leverage. Leverage means doing more with less effort, less time, less energy, by using the right tools, the right people, the right systems. The poor believe they must do everything themselves, that their only option is to work harder and longer. The rich believe in multiplying their effectiveness by finding ways to make time work for them. They hire others to do tasks that are not worth their personal hours. They automate what can be automated. They invest money into things that generate income while they sleep. They understand that if they keep trading time for money, they will forever be limited. But if they can make their time multiply, they break the limits completely. Consider the difference between earning wages and building assets. A wage stops when the hours stop. If you don't show up, you don't get paid. But an asset keeps paying whether you show up or not. A book you write, a course you create, a business you build, an investment you place, these are assets. They take time up front, but they pay long after the time is gone. The rich dedicate themselves to building assets, while the poor often spend their lives trading every precious hour for temporary pay. It is not that one is easier, it is simply that one values immediate cash, while the other values long-term freedom. The choice is not about intelligence, it is about mindset. When you start valuing time more than money, you begin to see your choices differently. Instead of chasing every dollar, you ask, is this worth my life? Because that is what you are really giving when you give time. Every yes you say to one thing is a no to something else. The wealthy are careful about what they say yes to. They don't take on every project. They don't attend every meeting. They don't accept every invitation. They know that focus is wealth and distractions are poverty. Time, once scattered, produces little. Time, once concentrated, produces power. That is why a focused hour can be worth more than a distracted week. The rich discipline themselves to invest their time in fewer things, but greater things. Time is also the great revealer of value. The rich know that not everything pays off immediately, but the right things pay off over time. They are willing to invest months, even years, into learning a skill, building a brand, developing a relationship, or planning a business. They think like farmers, not hunters. Hunters chase quick prey, farmers plant for seasons. That is why you often see people chasing opportunities that look fast and easy, only to be disappointed when they collapse. Meanwhile, the wealthy are quietly cultivating things that will yield for decades. Their patience comes from valuing time as an ally, not as an enemy. Another distinction is how the wealthy use other people's time. They don't just leverage their own, they borrow the time of others by creating opportunities, teams, and networks. They know they cannot do everything themselves, so they empower others to grow with them. That is why they build organizations, invest in people, and delegate tasks. By valuing time, they respect the hours of others as well. They understand that if you waste another person's time, you are wasting life itself. So they surround themselves with people who are also disciplined with their time, creating an environment where productivity is multiplied and wealth grows faster. If you observe closely, the rich also spend money to save time, while the poor often spend time to save money. The poor will drive an hour to save a few dollars, while the rich will pay a little more to get their time back. The poor will try to fix everything themselves, spending days learning something they could have delegated. The rich will pay for expertise, saving time and accelerating results. It is not arrogance, it is simply mathematics. If your time is valuable, you do not waste it on low return activities. You put it where it yields the greatest return. The wealthy calculate the return on their time with the same seriousness that most people calculate the return on their money. This is why one of the greatest investments you can ever make is in learning how to use your time wisely. Read books that compress decades of knowledge into days. Learn skills that make your hours more valuable. Train your mind to focus deeply, because an hour of deep work can produce what 10 hours of shallow work cannot. Learn to say no, because every no to the wrong thing is a yes to the right thing. And most importantly, always ask yourself before giving your time, is this creating value for my future or just filling space in my present? That one question separates those who waste their lives from those who design them. The wealthy value time more than money because they know that time is the soil and money is only the fruit. If you take care of the soil, fruit will always come. But if you neglect the soil, no amount of wishing for fruit will matter. They build their days carefully, hour by hour, with the awareness that life is measured not by how much you make, but by how well you spend the time you have been given. Wealth is multiplied through multiple streams, not a single paycheck. One of the greatest misconceptions people hold is that financial security comes from having a job, from relying on one consistent paycheck every month. The problem with that belief is that the moment that one source dries up, everything collapses. The rich know this, and that is why they never depend on just one stream of income. They design their lives in such a way that money comes from different directions, like rivers feeding into an ocean. If one river slows down, the ocean still grows because the others are flowing. This way of thinking separates those who constantly struggle from those who build lasting wealth. Most people are trained from an early age to rely on one income. Go to school, get a job, work for your paycheck, and survive on what comes in. That path is stable only in appearance because the truth is, no paycheck is ever guaranteed. Jobs are lost, companies close, industries change, health fails, economies shift. The rich understand this reality and prepare by building multiple streams. They might have a business, investments in real estate, stocks that pay dividends, royalties from intellectual property, or other ventures. Each of these streams may start small, but over time, they accumulate into powerful flows. The poor say, I can't afford to diversify. The rich say, I can't afford not to. That difference in mindset is the beginning of financial independence. Think of it like a table. A table with one leg is unstable. The moment pressure is applied, it falls. A table with 4 legs stands firm even if one leg weakens. Your financial life works the same way. If you rely on one paycheck, your financial table wobbles with every challenge. But if you build multiple legs, different sources of income, you create stability. And with stability comes confidence. You stop living paycheck to paycheck because you know that money is coming from more than one place. That confidence allows you to make wiser decisions, take better risks, and build greater wealth. The beauty of multiple streams is not only in security, but also in growth. A single paycheck has a ceiling. You are limited by the hours you can work or the salary someone else decides to pay you. But multiple streams break that ceiling. One investment may double in value. Another may pay you while you sleep. Another may open doors to opportunities you never imagined. The rich are always planting new seeds of income because they understand that wealth is not about how much you earn today, but how many avenues you have for tomorrow. They know that one idea, properly nurtured, can feed generations, but they also know that relying on one idea alone is dangerous. Diversity is protection, and protection is wealth building. Multiple streams of income requires vision and discipline. It doesn't mean chasing every opportunity that shows up, because that leads to scattered focus and wasted energy. It means carefully choosing which streams align with your skills, your resources, and your goals. Some streams require active effort at first, like starting a business. Others are passive once set up, like investments or royalties. The rich balance both, streams that demand effort and streams that flow with little maintenance. They build systems, hire people, and use technology to make sure those streams keep running. That is why even when they take vacations, their money does not take one. Their streams continue to flow whether they are working or resting. Another key difference is how the wealthy view small beginnings. Many people dismiss small streams because they don't produce much at first. They think, what's the point of earning a few dollars here or there? But the rich know that small streams can grow into rivers. A rental property that brings modest monthly income can later appreciate in value and double its worth. A side business that starts as a hobby can expand into a full enterprise. A book or a course that sells slowly can one day bring steady royalties. They respect the seed, knowing that every stream starts small. What matters is planting it and giving it time to grow. Those who ignore small streams remain trapped in the single paycheck cycle, while those who nurture them eventually enjoy abundance. Multiple streams also give freedom of choice. When you only have one paycheck, you are forced to accept conditions you may not like because your survival depends on it. You cannot walk away from a toxic environment because you need the income. But when you have several streams, you gain leverage. You can say no to situations that don't align with your values because you are not chained to one source. That freedom is one of the greatest forms of wealth. It gives you the ability to live on your terms, to pursue opportunities that excite you, to take risks that others cannot. Because your life is not tied to one fragile paycheck, it's also important to recognize that multiple streams don't only mean financial streams. They also represent streams of knowledge, relationships, and opportunities. Wealthy people build networks that open doors to new ventures. They study new skills that allow them to enter different industries. They are always expanding the base from which income can be generated. The poor often stop learning after school and stop meeting new people after work. The rich keep learning, keep connecting, and keep creating, and each of those activities eventually leads to another stream. They live in a state of expansion, and expansion naturally multiplies income sources. Some people think that multiple streams are only for the rich, that you need money to make money. But the truth is, you need creativity more than capital. Today, with technology, you can start a business online with very little. You can create digital products, offer services, teach skills, or invest small amounts consistently over time. What matters is not starting big, but starting at all. The rich don't wait for the perfect opportunity, they create one. They don't wait for thousands to invest, they start with what they have and build from there. Over time, those small steps compound into large outcomes. This compounding is another reason multiple streams are powerful, because when they grow together, they multiply each other. The mindset of relying on one paycheck is rooted in fear and tradition. It feels safe to trust in the regular deposit every month. But safety is often an illusion, because one change can remove it instantly. The mindset of multiple streams is rooted in responsibility and vision. It accepts that nothing is guaranteed, so it prepares for variety. It embraces the uncertainty of life by creating certainty through diversity. That is why the wealthy sleep better at night. They know that even if one stream dries up, others will carry them forward. And in that security, they continue to build, because true wealth is not just measured by how much flows in today, but by how many streams will continue to flow tomorrow. The rich play the long game because they know that wealth is not built in a single moment. It is built over seasons, years, and often decades. Most people want quick results, fast money, overnight success. They are seduced by the idea of instant gratification, and that mindset is exactly what keeps them from building lasting wealth. The rich, on the other hand, are patient architects. They understand that a fortune built overnight can disappear overnight, but a fortune built slowly, carefully, and strategically is hard to destroy. They don't ask how fast they can get rich. They ask how long their wealth will last once it arrives. This mindset is visible in the way they invest, the way they plan, and the way they live. The poor often chase every shiny opportunity that promises immediate reward. They jump from scheme to scheme, always looking for the shortcut, but the wealthy avoid the temptation of shortcuts. They know shortcuts often lead to dead ends. They plant seeds, nurture them, water them, and wait for the harvest. They respect time as an ally, not as an enemy. They understand that the longer money is put to work, the harder it works in return. Compounding interest, long-term investments, and disciplined savings are boring to most people, but to the rich, they are the foundation of the game. Patience does not mean inaction. The rich are not passive, they are strategic. While others are chasing fast money, they are building foundations. They invest in businesses that may take years to become profitable, but will pay dividends for decades. They buy real estate, not for quick flips, but for steady rental income and appreciation over time. They start ventures with the understanding that success is not measured in weeks, but in years. This long perspective gives them resilience when things don't work immediately. They are not discouraged by temporary losses because they are looking at the horizon, not just the next step. They know that markets rise and fall, but discipline and patience always outlast volatility. The long game also shows up in the way they think about skills. The poor often seek skills that pay immediately, even if they have no growth potential. The rich seek skills that may take time to develop but will pay forever. They invest years learning how to negotiate, how to invest, how to sell, how to lead, how to manage systems. These are not skills that give instant gratification, but they create wealth that keeps multiplying. They understand that temporary discomfort in learning is the price for permanent advantage in earning. Every skill they add to their toolbox compounds over time, allowing them to enter new opportunities, create new ventures, and increase the value of their time. Another part of the long game is how they manage risk. Quick thinkers look for fast profits without considering the downside. Long game thinkers always calculate risk before reward. They are not afraid of risk, but they prepare for it. They diversify, they protect their assets, they ensure what matters, and they avoid gambling. The poor gamble because they want something fast. The rich invest because they want something lasting. That difference is crucial. Playing the long game means understanding that every choice has consequences beyond today. If it looks too good to be true in the short run, it usually is. Wealthy people have trained themselves to resist the lure of immediate rewards in exchange for lasting returns. The long game also demands discipline. Discipline to save when everyone else is spending. Discipline to work when everyone else is partying. Discipline to study when others are distracted. Discipline to stay consistent when results don't show immediately. This discipline is not glamorous, but it is powerful. It is what allows them to accumulate wealth slowly and steadily while others burn through money chasing entertainment and appearances. The rich don't live for the weekend. They live for the vision. They don't spend money to look wealthy. They invest money to become wealthy. They are willing to wait for what they want. And that patience becomes a weapon in their hands most people lose because they confuse speed with progress. They think moving fast means they are moving forward. But what good is speed if you are running in the wrong direction? The rich understand that progress is not about speed, but about direction. They take time to plan, to strategize, to align their moves with their long-term vision. They would rather move slowly in the right direction than quickly in the wrong one. This perspective saves them from costly mistakes that wipe out years of effort. They are not afraid of being underestimated in the short term because they know that time will reveal the strength of their foundation. Playing the long game also influences the way they build relationships. They don't use people for quick gains. They invest in people for lifelong partnerships. They build trust, credibility, and value over years. They know that relationships are assets, and the best opportunities often come from people who trust you. While others burn bridges for temporary advantage, the wealthy maintain connections because they know the future is long, and you never know when a relationship will bear fruit. They treat people well not because it benefits them today, but because it may open doors tomorrow. This is another layer of the long game, investing in human capital with patience and consistency. The long game requires vision. Vision that sees beyond today's difficulties and today's rewards. Most people can't see past the next paycheck, the next bill, or the next vacation. The wealthy are thinking in terms of decades, even generations. They ask questions like, how will this investment feed my family 20 years from now? Or, what will this business look like after I'm gone? This long vision gives them an edge in every decision. While others think of survival, they think of legacy. While others think of temporary comfort, they think of permanent impact. This is why the rich often leave wealth that continues to grow for their children and grandchildren, while the poor often leave nothing behind, but debts, patience, and vision also allow the rich to withstand storms. When economies crash, when businesses slow, when investments drop, they don't panic. They don't sell everything out of fear because they are not playing for today, they are playing for decades. They understand that downturns are temporary, but discipline is permanent. This calm perspective allows them to buy when everyone else is selling, to see opportunity when everyone else is afraid. It is not that they don't feel fear, but their long vision makes them stronger than fear. They see every storm as part of the process, not the end of the journey. The long game is not attractive to most people because it requires waiting, and waiting is uncomfortable. It requires delaying gratification, and that feels painful in the moment. But the rich know that pain of patience is easier to endure than the pain of regret. They choose the discomfort of discipline today to enjoy the comfort of freedom tomorrow. This is why, while others are chasing trends, they are building foundations. While others are counting days, they are counting decades. The difference in thinking produces a difference in results, and that difference is often the line between poverty and wealth. Wealth starts small, maybe with a single dollar, maybe with a small idea, maybe with a habit that seems insignificant at first. The rich understand that greatness is always born in seed form. They do not despise the beginning stages because they know that every tree starts as a seed, every empire begins with a decision, every fortune is built on the first disciplined choice. Most people destroy their future wealth because they neglect the seed. They spend what should have been planted, they waste what could have grown, they look at the smallness of today and convince themselves it is meaningless. But the rich see differently. They know that protecting the seed is the first law of wealth. When you receive a little money, the question is not how fast you can spend it, but how wisely you can protect it. People who think poor often see money as something to be consumed immediately. The moment it arrives, they are already looking for ways to exchange it for entertainment, for clothing, for food, for comfort. But the wealthy view that same dollar as a potential soldier, one that can be sent out to work and bring back more soldiers. A poor mind spends $1 once. A rich mind puts $1 to work so it comes back again and again. Protecting the seed means recognizing that money has the power to multiply if you give it the chance. The problem is that most people are impatient with small beginnings. They want fruit without planting, harvest without sowing, abundance without discipline. This is why they struggle financially year after year, because they never give their money the time to grow. They crush the seed before it can even break through the soil. Protecting the seed means creating habits of saving, investing, and discipline even when the amounts are small. A child who learns to save a small allowance is practicing the same principle that a wealthy investor uses with millions. The scale is different, but the principle is the same. If you cannot manage little, you will not manage much. If you waste 10, you will waste 10,000. The seed tests your faithfulness before it rewards your abundance. The rich also understand that seeds are fragile. They must be planted in the right soil, given the right protection, and guarded against threats. In financial terms, this means not exposing your small beginnings to unnecessary risks. Many people take the little they have and gamble it away, chasing unrealistic returns, hoping for overnight success. But gambling destroys the seed. The wise investor chooses carefully, placing money in environments where it can grow steadily. They don't dig up the seed every day to see if it is sprouting. They trust the process. They don't panic at every fluctuation because they know growth takes time. Protecting the seed means patience, discipline, and faith in the process. One of the biggest enemies of the seed is lifestyle inflation. The moment most people get a raise or an increase, their expenses rise with it. They start spending on luxuries, trying to look rich before they are rich. In doing so, they eat the seed instead of planting it. The wealthy resist this trap. They hold their standard of living steady while their income grows, allowing the gap to be planted, invested, and multiplied. They understand that discipline now creates freedom later. Protecting the seed requires humility, the humility to live below your means when everyone else is trying to impress, the humility to invest in growth while others spend on appearance. Those who eat the seed for temporary pleasure sacrifice long-term prosperity for short-term comfort. Seeds are not just money, they are also ideas. A small idea acted upon with consistency can grow into a business, a movement, or a legacy. Many people dismiss their ideas because they seem too small, too insignificant, too fragile. But every great company in the world began as a small idea in someone's mind. Protecting the seed means believing in the value of your ideas and giving them the care and attention they need to grow. It means writing them down, testing them, developing them, and refusing to abandon them too quickly. Just as financial seeds need time to grow, so do creative seeds. The rich protect their ideas just as carefully as they protect their money. Knowing that a single idea can change their destiny, protecting the seed also means surrounding it with the right environment. Just as a seed cannot grow in toxic soil, wealth cannot grow in toxic habits, toxic relationships, or toxic thinking. If you spend time with people who waste money, you will waste money. If you surround yourself with negativity, you will crush your own potential. The rich choose their environment carefully. They place themselves among growth-minded people. They invest their time in learning. They feed their minds with wisdom. They know that protecting the seed is not only about money, but about creating an atmosphere where growth is possible. Soil matters, and so does company. Another danger to the seed is impatience. Many people start saving or investing, but the moment they don't see immediate results, they pull back. They take out the money, they quit the project, they abandon the idea. This constant starting and stopping kills momentum. Protecting the seed means committing for the long term, even when results are invisible. Farmers do not expect to plant today and harvest tomorrow. They know there is a season for planting, a season for waiting, and a season for harvest. Wealth works the same way. The waiting season is where most people fail, but it is also where the rich succeed because they understand the value of patience. Protecting the seed also requires resisting unnecessary consumption. Marketing, advertising, and peer pressure constantly scream for your money. Every day there is something new to buy, a new trend, a new gadget, a new temptation. Those who cannot control themselves will always remain poor because they give away their seed to things that produce no return. The rich learn to say no. They know the difference between spending and investing, between temporary pleasure and permanent growth. Every dollar has potential, and if it is spent on something fleeting, its potential dies with it. Protecting the seed means saying no to distractions so you can say yes to destiny. The final truth about seeds is that once protected and planted, they multiply. A single apple seed can grow into a tree that produces thousands of apples, each with seeds inside them. One investment can produce profits that allow you to make more investments. One idea can spark opportunities that open doors to others. But none of this is possible if the seed is not first protected. The poor consume everything and remain empty, while the rich protect their seeds and watch them multiply. It is not luck, it is discipline. It is not magic, it is principle. Wealth always begins in the small, in the hidden, in the seed, and the way you treat that seed determines the future you will harvest.